being able to see them go from not knowing very much and one location to 5, 6, 7 locations in a couple of years. Like,
that's amazing.
Employing people, like growing people, contributing to their communities,
and
like
the economy.
Absolutely. You know, really building a legacy.
While you're in the conflict, as difficult as it may be, sitting down and having a conversation where you're each listening to each other, right? So if you have to set a timer, you know, put it on the table and say, okay, 5 minutes, I'm just going to listen. I'm not going to respond. If you want to take notes so that you can properly respond, do that.
Thank you for that ad, because sometimes we'd be like, hey, 5 minutes, 5 minutes, right? And then you're tied to that.
Yeah.
That's the thing with tools. Like, tools are supposed to be there to help and support, not take you in the other direction, right? Might have people messaging me or calling me and being like, hey, we left worse because they wanted 7 minutes instead of 5. Great.
We are all about informed decisions.
Yes. Don't want to wait for things to cripple and fall before we look for the information and the advice, right?
It's just so much more expensive at that point, right? Like, to fix something or to like rectify, it will be more expensive. So just
proactive approach.
Yeah, proactive is the way to go, for sure.
Yeah, you definitely have my agreement there.
Okay.
All right.
Let's see. Okay. Love the sparkles.
Thank you. Fresh. Okay. This is kind of like right in tune. Next up, exploring partnerships. Because you briefly mentioned partnerships just now.
Yes.
What's one piece of advice you would give a potential, I guess, people exploring partnerships for the first time? What's something that they should think about? What's some advice you can give people?
Like joining a franchise?
So if you are exploring entrepreneurship and you are thinking, I want to go in with somebody, with a
I see.
Yeah. So my best friend and I, we've been doing each other's nails for years, and now we're thinking of potentially joining a franchise brand that does that.
Got it.
And we want to go in as partners.
Okay. Yeah. I think anything related to business, you really want to be mindful. And I think who you do business with is one of the most important questions. And so it I think requires a lot of thought. If it's your best friend, I would be very clear on each other's roles, what the expectations are, who's doing what, who's delivering what, and when. I think if there is good communication, I think if there's good communication through conflict, then it can work well. But I think if you're not able to communicate through conflict, I think that I would reconsider partnering with your best friend or a friend or a family member, right? I think running a business is, I think, for a lot of people, one of the most important things that they'll do in their life. Like, it's like a baby.
Yes.
And people hold it dear and are very, serious about their business. They're passionate about their business. And so I think when you're bringing others into that world, you just really want to be mindful around, like, do I want this friend or family member to have a say in this business? Do I want them to be able to vote on things? And I think with any business partner, getting things in writing are very important, and like having the conversations and then documenting them in writing are really important. because you just don't want to be in a situation where down the line you're relying on memories of what was said, and maybe, you know, people are not feeling as collaborative, and you know, maybe feelings are involved, and then it's harder to
come to an understanding
and really know, like, okay, how do we move forward? If it's in writing, then you can just turn back to it and say, yeah, this is what we agreed to. If, you know, things were to get a little shaky, and
this
when things get a little shaky,
not if, when things get shaky.
Yes.
And I wanted to bring the conversation back to conflict, because firstly, I'm kind of obsessed with conflict right now and conflict resolution, because we are seeing it so much more. There's so much going on in the world. There's so much going on in the economy. And a lot of us are going through it. And so we're human beings, and even sometimes with the best intentions, we end up in conflict and disagreement. And so understanding, I think, on an individual level, how you process uncomfortable and uncomfortable situations and conflict, being able to express what your needs might be during those times, and having some sort of tools or process to resolution is so important. So, I mean, I've never been, I guess, in a situation where a partnership within a business venture was, you know, the topic of discussion, but I'm sure you have seen it in your line of work. So can you share a little bit about maybe some best practices of how people who eventually get to conflict or just disagreement, how they can move forward and through it?
I think the proactive approach is a good start. So I think in business, you know, if you have incorporated, you're looking at a shareholders agreement. If you are in a partnership, then it's a partnership agreement, right? Just getting in writing. If we decide to part ways because we can't reconcile, we can't resolve, this is how we're going to do that. Like, this is the process. If it's a shareholder situation, this is how I'm going to buy you out, or this is how we're going to have you exit, right? Like, I think, like, really first giving that thought and then B, putting it in writing is like the proactive approach. While you're in the conflict, as difficult as it may be, sitting down and having a conversation where you're each listening to each other, right? So if you have to set a timer, you know, put it on the table and say, okay, 5 minutes, I'm just going to listen. I'm not going to respond. If you want to take notes so that you can properly respond, do that. But just give each other, I think feeling heard and understood is the piece that is often missing. You know, it's, you know, defensive, and you said this, and not cutting people off, and, you know, not giving a chance to really have that person feel heard. Oh, I think that's a game changer, honestly. So give each other time to hear each other out. If there's anything to respond to, clarify, correct. You know, this is not what I actually intended. Right. Oh, that's not actually what I said. Maybe you heard something or you interpreted what I said differently, but that's not actually what I said. I think that like really being intentional with your communications during the conflict, I think, is the way to resolution.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And resolution and reconciliation, two different things. Because you can resolve conflict, come to an agreement, and still choose not to reconcile, still choose not to move forward in the partnership.
Correct.
Which comes back to your point of including a clause, a clear clause of, if we get there, this is how things. And I think it's also important to note that it isn't always conflict that is conflict between two people that is the reason behind a partnership ending. Sometimes it's personal conflict. Sometimes it's just, hey, I was only interested in being involved in this for X amount of time, and now that time has come to an end, and we want to move forward in a different way. So not all partnerships end bad.
That's right. That's right.
Can you tell us maybe about a partnership that you saw work really well, and maybe something special that you saw in that?
I mean, I see clients who have been in business for many years. You know, I'm not there with them, and so I don't get to see every sort of moment or like all of the ups and downs. But I guess anecdotally, you know, from what I've heard from some clients, it is not always the rosiest path. And I think for them, it was about having a shared vision and sort of trying to come back to that vision, and like having a North Star, and just, you know, we're in this together. Yes, there will be bumps, but like this is what we're moving forward towards. So
I love that.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it's so important that when you're starting a business, you ground it in values and mission and vision, so that when things get rocky or muddy or maybe fall below expectations, you have something to come back to and say, you know, this is why I'm doing the work I'm doing. This is why, you know, I'm sacrificing my sleep and my relationships and everything else to make it happen. I love that that North Star kind of reminder is, I think, key to it. I think as entrepreneurs, we all have those moments where we're like, the why should I continue? Even in franchising, you know, because franchising is still a business.
100%.
And it's not a guaranteed business. You still have to put in work. There's still cycles. There's still situations and locations and that don't do well. And so, I think grounding and being tied to those values is so important.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And it could be good to, as part of your business plan, right? I think a business plan is a good thing to have at the outset, is writing out those values. You know, what is bringing you to the table today, you know, and what are you excited for? That's actually one of the questions that I ask clients in one of our like initial meetings is, what is your like 10-year vision for this business? Particularly for startups that I'm helping to set the foundation for. What is your vision for the next 10 years of the business? And it's just like, I see them light up. And they, share what it is that they're looking forward to accomplishing. And for a lot of clients, it's just really great to see that evolution and to see them like, oh my goodness, like I remember when I incorporated that company, and now they're like, you know, a household name, you know, in some cases. So it's really a great thing to see as an advisor, sort of looking in from the outside.
I've had the opportunity to support franchisees that come in, you know, not knowing much at all about the brand, really green, like nervous, but passionate and dedicated, and opening their first location and going through that process with them and working through that tough first year. And okay, we've made it through the first year. Like, what does the next 2 years look like? Are you still happy with the brand? Like, do you want to continue to grow? Are you okay with just one location? And being able to see them go from not knowing very much and one location to 5, 6, 7 locations in a couple of years. Like,
that's amazing.
Employing people, like growing people, contributing to their communities,
and
like
the economy.
Absolutely. You know, really building a legacy for themselves and for their families. It's beautiful. So So I love that we both get to do that and support that.
Yeah.
And
I really
the
do
work
love
we
it.
do, right?
I really love it.
I think it's time for another one of these.
Let's do it. Let's do it. See this one.
Yeah. I do also like that timer tip that you included. I've heard it a couple times, and whether it's a business conversation or a personal conversation, I think it's a great way to make sure that you're being heard and also hearing the other person.
Yeah.
So I like that.
And I will
tip.
just add, that's not to say that like the 5 minutes should be the only time, given. I think if you really want this to be a long-term relationship, I think you should be prepared for a back and forth. I think you should be because that conversation where you're, give each other the 5 minutes, things may be said that they, are later reflected on and like, oh no, that didn't sit right, or just like, but come back to the table. If it's a relationship worth pursuing, and I think if it's your business partner, then certainly something to, I think, give time and space to.
Yes.
It's worth giving it the time that it needs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for that ad, because sometimes we'd be like, hey, 5 minutes, 5 minutes, right? And then you're tied to that.
Yeah.
That's the thing with tools. Like, tools are supposed to be there to help and support, not take you in the other direction, right? And so sometimes you got to leave that flex. And yeah, so thank you for that added context. Might have people messaging me or calling me and being like, hey, we left worse because they wanted 7 minutes instead of 5. Yeah.
That's funny.
If you enjoyed the conversation and are curious to learn more about franchising, like, follow, share, and subscribe to the channel.